Hi there, we're on the final video, part 6, and this is all about keeping track, monitoring your campaign, how to make decisions if things go wrong. So I'm a big believer in keeping things simple when it comes to sort of metrics and forecasting. But a good campaign sort of might look something as simple as this. Something like €10,000 ad spend, maybe you get a €5 cost per lead, so you get 2,000 leads from Facebook and Instagram. Let's say 50% of those leads come into the group and register, okay? Because it's a nice round number. That's 1,000 registrations for your t-shirt and fundraising pack, and pretty much 1,000 people creating a fundraising page, because we have that in one click in GivePanel, which is kind of the power of using GivePanel forms. Let's say we can achieve a 35% fundraiser activation rate using iDonate with all the stewardship and emails and everything like that. That gives us 350 fundraisers. If they raise €200 on average, Ireland tends to be, I think it's won the most generous country award from GoFundMe for the last 5 years in a row. So the average fundraisers tend to be quite high in Ireland, which is great. Which would be 70,000 overall raised, which is a ROAS of 7-1. So that's a very simple forecast. I always like to start with a forecast like this, so you have an idea when you go into the campaign of the kind of metrics you're going, and you will put your own ones in here. And I would say, like, don't be too ambitious. You obviously want to try and beat your forecast, but yeah, this is the way I would do it, and I would adjust these different metrics to make sure that they make sense, and then I would have a starting idea of roughly what I think what I would want to achieve. And then as the early part of the campaign starts, the key thing is not to measure all of the metrics, okay, all at once, because you'll get analysis paralysis. So you need to focus. And there are some metrics that just don't make sense to study at the start of the campaign. For example, your average raise per fundraiser average is not going to, at the start of the campaign, it's going to be meaningless. So you want to focus on cost per lead. Now, you want to focus this on the right way. You don't want to drive this down so low that you get the wrong audience. But you just want to make sure that it's a healthy cost per lead. It's not getting too crazy out of kilter. But at the same time, you're not looking for the cheapest cost per lead. Otherwise, you might be bringing the wrong person. But you want to monitor that. You want to monitor the percentage of leads going into the group and registering, definitely. So that's something that is like an early sign of whether you've actually got the right audience coming in. If you've got a low percentage of people coming into the group and registering, then really kind of like those ads are falling flat. They're not really kind of working, and you need to take action. And then you also want to measure the fundraiser activation rate, because that's the thing that you really want to focus on and improve, and that's going to be key to, is there a problem there that we can fix with email, or is there something that we can do to improve that fundraiser activation rate? So those are the main ones that I would focus on in the early part of the campaign, and I would try not to get bogged down in like lots of other metrics until something kind of until you might need to, because something goes wrong, which I'm about to cover. So what if your metrics are really bad? And this does happen. So often, most campaigns will be successful, and that's great, and we won't have it. But sometimes you'll have a campaign that just falls flat. It just happens. And the thing to do is don't worry too much in the first sort of 48, 72 hours. The ads are kind of bedding in. You're starting to kind of like, it takes a while for Facebook to find its audience when it comes to ads. So in the first 24 hours, it can be like the metrics, your cost per lead can be just extremely high just in the first 24 hours, just because it's like Facebook's trying to find your audience. So don't judge too much in the first 24 hours. Then if the metrics are looking really bad, I always start by going through the whole process as though I was one of your audience from the start, from the ad all the way through. And I'd ask at each step, like, where could this be going wrong? And you might want to do this on desktop and mobile. It's kind of the same as end-to-end testing, which should have been done. You should have done before you launch the campaign, obviously. You should always do end-to-end testing before you launch and spend money on ads. So you always just want to make sure there's nothing broken, basically. Somewhere in there could be just some web copy that someone's written that is just putting people off, that kind of thing. It doesn't even have to be a technical issue. It can just be, the ad said that there was a free t-shirt, and then you came in and there was something around like, it felt like it was like I have to raise €100 to get my t-shirt, and suddenly just that difference from the ad to some other message is causing drop off. So not like, those are the things that are like, they upset people's minds, and they're just like, oh, I just don't know what I'm doing here. Like, is it free, or do I have to raise 100? So check the consistency of that as you go through as a participant, just think where could this be going wrong? What could be putting off my audience here? Then I'd also, if it's really bad, your metrics are not performing very well, break down the state by the metrics by the funnel stage. So what's my lead to group percentage? What's my group to registration percentage? What's my registration to fundraiser percentage? What's my fundraiser to active fundraiser percentage? And I would basically split it out by that, and I'd find, is there a really weak part of the funnel where there is a problem? Because that's going to be a good investigation to help you get to the problem. And while you're figuring all this out, you could also consider pausing your ads or reducing ad spend, because ad spend is really where the cost is coming from. It's where you're spending media budget. You're also spending potentially budget on sending out t-shirts to time wasters. So you might want to consider reducing your ad spend. Sometimes you can just pause the ads. Yes, they will re-enter the learning phase and stuff like that, but that's better than basically it going wrong and I'd rather save budget, spend a week fixing it, and then restart the campaign once you're confident you've fixed the issue, than just sort of blindly carry on spending lots of money. So that's kind of like my thinking if things go bad. And then often what you'll find is that there's not a specific drop off in the funnel somewhere and everything's working okay. You've checked the consistency across the journey and you've kind of ironed out any problems that there might be, and you've tested it and you're happy with it. Then it could just be that actually, like, across the whole funnel, everything's just lower. And this can be things like your brand is not quite right, but really it's actually, like, normally, in my experience, having done, overseen hundreds if not thousands of these kind of events, it's normally with the ads. It's about the ads are not quite your Facebook ads are not quite bringing in the right people. So you need to talk to whoever's doing your ads. It could be that you're doing it internally or using an agency. You need to discuss with them where things might be going wrong. And really the changes that I'd be looking to do would be going back to that audience and creative matching that we covered in part 3. Is the creative bringing in too many? Is it talking about too much freebies? Are we pulling in the wrong audience? And you can actually see in Facebook the kind of audience you're bringing. You can break it down by demographic. You can break it down by platform. You can break it down by age. You can actually see what Facebook is targeting for your ads as well. So you can do some analysis there, but I'd go back and go, okay, well, we've kind of got this wrong. We're bringing in the wrong audience for our campaign. It's not quite working. Now, if you're not working with one of our agency partners already, then we can connect you with an expert as well. And we'd love to do that because we're not an agency, but we have some great, amazing experts that we work with. And we can always, it doesn't even have to be an agency. It can just be a consultant who can just jump on a call with you for a couple of hours and look into this for you as well, and troubleshoot it. But my general feeling is that, like, if the ads are wrong, then every other step in the funnel is wrong. And if every step in the funnel is wrong, then it has to be what's at the beginning, which is the ads. So summary then, make sure you start with a reasonable forecast. So I mapped that out on that first slide. Then you can compare against that forecast. Focus on fewer core metrics that matter when you first start out. If results are poor, do that end-to-end test, analyze which stages of the funnel where it could be an issue. Again, look for that consistency across that funnel. You're going to want to test it on mobile. Don't just test it on desktop, on your laptop computer. Definitely imagine you're a person seeing the ad from a mobile device and go through the whole thing. If all stages are low, so every single stage of the funnel is low, it's likely to be something that is at the beginning of the campaign, which is the ads. And so you need to focus there. You need to, if you're doing it in-house, you might need to ask to bring in an expert, or chat to your agency if things aren't working right. Consider cutting your ad budget until you can maybe get some new creative and audience. And that's the amazing thing about online advertising like Facebook ads. You can actually just pause that campaign, spend some time redoing the audiences, redoing the creative, and then start it a week later. You can't do that with doing a huge TV ad buy or something like that. So there we have it. We're going to finish with a video all about next steps after this one, but that's the summary of this one. We've got through all 6 parts. If you follow all of this, I think you'll have an amazing, successful campaign with iDonate and GivePanel. And we're super happy that if you've got to this point, you're still listening. Thank you for listening. And we're super excited to see what you do with social first challenges over the next few years. Exciting.